Welcome to Capture the Reps podcast, the podcast for fitness creatives by fitness creatives. Each episode, we will dive into techniques, strategies, and behind-the-scenes stories to help fast-track your career. Whether you're behind the camera or in front of it, this is the space to grow, create, and connect. Hit it, Sam.
I've been looking forward to this conversation because this is like, you might find this like super weird. But what I've noticed, and this is like when I look at Instagram and I pull up your Instagram profile.
Yeah.
Every single one of your posts seems to be the most like thoughtful, almost like it's like a complete project or like a complete thought.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, to kind of start our conversation, like, is that how you're approaching it? Or like, it just seems like it's so more polished, whereas mine is just like, I am like posting out 90 reels and just going absolutely nuts and insane.
Yeah. I mean, anymore, it definitely is. I kind of got away from playing the game of Instagram. I mean, when I first got into this and especially when I first started shooting CrossFit and stuff, I would post all the time. And I mean, that's how I got a boatload of followers at the beginning. It was during that era where like you posted a reel when those were new and it would just go crazy. And then I think somewhere along the line when I started, when I started working a lot with Noble, it was, you would have these jobs and then from each job you would kind of want to just post something from it. And I never wanted to like overkill anything. And you'll probably notice like I've posted more in the last probably month than I have in probably over a year and a half. And more of that is just because I've tried to get back to sharing a lot more of my work, but it's something that I like it to kind of live in its own little bubble and tell a story within itself. If I have to post a carousel of a bunch of different things to do it, I don't feel like just for me personally, I don't enjoy then doubling up and then making another post about the same thing, So it's just kind of like a way for me to highlight the moment of whatever I was doing and then try to find a different one,
Yeah. So anything like on a philosophy standpoint that goes into it, like it seems like you have a certain like look and feel. I was curious as to like how you develop that over time. If your days at Noble kind of like shape that or like how that played out.
Yeah. I learned, that job in general is just something that I've been so fortunate and thankful to have in the past. It was, it taught me a lot. And if like you asked me, I got that job well before I was capable of doing it. And, it was something that really, I was fortunate enough to be able to grow a ton during that time. Now, with that being said, I don't know if I've ever until recently had a look or style of my own. I got thrown into working with different larger clients and it was always about the brand look. And so it was trying to, edit and style your photos the way that the brand needed. And then obviously each brand's different. And then I remember just one day shooting for fun and being like, I don't really know what I like. And, it took some time and then, that slowly started to come about. And I think that anymore it's just kind of a blend between what I've learned in that realm and then also a little mix of my own style, but being able to understand the editing process through my years working with that company is something that is, the education I got in my early days with them was unmatched. It was at the time, you had two people on the content team there who had Emmys and it's like, what shoe company in the CrossFit space has that? And I really tried to soak it up and take as much feedback and criticism as I could and learn about coloring and learn about skin tones and learn about what makes something look good and what's appealing to someone's eye and things that, it's easy when you're just shooting for yourself to kind of get away from and not pay attention to, because you'd be like, wow, that looks cool. And then somebody else could look at it and be like, man, their skin's a little pink, so you might not always pay attention to it, but when you have somebody critiquing your work all the time, it allows you to really develop a different vision and spend a lot more time on certain things than you would by yourself.
What were so that's interesting. You said like skin tones. I've been there. I've been that exact feeling that you're describing where it's like too pink or whatever, especially
right.
I mean, you know how it is. Like you walk into a gym, you never know what you're walking into. Like some gyms have impeccable lighting, and they got those fitness people walking around with their tripod and their cell phone, and they're like, the lighting is amazing. Other times you're like walking into someone's garage and you're like, the lighting is overhead.
Yes. Yeah. Some are grungy. It can be very hard. And CrossFit is definitely not a well-lit thing all the time, especially in gyms.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Those initial days, and was there any like big lessons that you learned, or like 3 or 5 takeaways that you had? Just thinking about people listening right now that either are going through that similar journey, myself included, where I say this all the time, but like I don't know everything, and I still have a lot to learn and all that kind of stuff. Like, was there any like key takeaways in those initial days?
Workflow was a big one. The ability to learn how to turn and edit and deliver images at a very high speed. I think that if you were to ask me my number one hireable quality, it's the ability to sit down and crank away and deliver stuff in a very timely manner. The biggest thing during that time was always telling a story in real time. So when, they were the title sponsor of the games and an event would happen, you'd be back, you'd try to rip through stuff so that story could go out immediately. And it's something that I really perfected a workflow that still to this day works for me pretty well.
What is that workflow? Like, walk me through it.
So, I mean, for me, I use a system on my computer. It's called Fast Raw Viewer. Some people can use Lightroom to call their images. I use a thing called Fast Raw Viewer. It's a program that you can plug your card into. You can go through it in real time and make selects. I use my space bar and make selects, and it 1-stars all the images. The thing that makes it very valuable to me is that once you take those selects and name it, it saves it as a subfolder on your card. So then I'll go into Lightroom, just import my selects that I made. It doesn't, eat up space or take a lot of time. Do all of the edits that I need to. And then in my days of working a lot of events and stuff with Noble, at the end of the event, we would always deliver all of our raw images. So of the ones that we edited, just in case something needed to get tweaked or they needed to put something on a billboard or make big banners out of, they needed to be able to have the raw photo. And it just allowed me to already have all of them. So I could just drag and drop all of my selected folders. And for me, most of the time I'm using Lightroom and doing, normal Lightroom things. It's, I don't really use a lot of other stuff. I do some things in Photoshop if I want to add some crazy motion blur or something to something that, I started doing that a few years ago and got flooded with DMs on how that how that process looked. But that's something that I did for a little bit, but I've gotten away from it in more recent days. But it's I don't really have a overcomplicated workflow. I just try to make sure that I do as much right in camera as I can, and then try to make sure that my images are, up to the standard that I try to set for myself, and then get them out as quickly as possible. I mean, I think that you can really set yourself up for success by not leaning on editing so much. It's really easy sometimes to be like, oh, my shot's underexposed, or this is overexposed, I'll fix it later. But when you get into those positions where you have to turn things in real time and you're trying to really batch edit images, and you have to go back and then spend so much time on one image because something's blown out, or, the highlights are blown, or something's so dark and it doesn't match the rest of what you're delivering. It's something that, you can do a lot right in camera. You can try to expose correctly and shoot things straight and do as much of the work ahead of time as you can. And that's something that I've really tried to pay attention to over the last years, just because it saves you a ton of time afterwards.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Especially because a lot of the times too, like there's a lot of people, myself included, that do this. So I'm not trying to like single anybody out. That will do the spray and pray, right? And they're just like, I'm sure I'll find one after doing some culling or whatever. Like I'll figure it out later. And then they have to do all those corrections. Right. Meanwhile, the individual like yourself that nailed it the first time, like doesn't have to do all that work. So you save all that time, especially if you want to be the first one. But really, if you just want to be able to provide more, I think too, it's important because like you're spending less time correcting 1 or 2 items and creating 10 to 20.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely shifts your mindset a little bit when you work for a brand consistently, because shooting for yourself is great. Like I love shooting for myself. Something that I find artistic or something I find to be a great photo might not be something that the brand needs in those moments. So, if there's moments that I'm spraying and praying, I can go back and make something kind of artsy or something out of kind of a mess. But for the most part, if like you're shooting for a shoe company and you cut their feet off and you think it's a cool photo, they're going to be like, hey, there's no shoes in this, so we can't use it. And that's, it's a lesson learned that not every great photo, even if it is great, is something that a brand wants. And, it's more about them being able to get what they need out of it than yourself. And that's something that I learned early on too, is, I'd take some photos that I think were great, but wouldn't have enough negative space, or wouldn't have enough, enough shoes showing, or different things that was trying to be highlighted in the next, post or advertisement or whatever they're using it for. And you go, oh, okay. So it's a lot more about getting a mission, getting a task and going and executing it, as opposed to, hey, just go out there and be artistic. Like whenever you get told that's a great day. When you're like, hey, just go out there and do your thing. It's like, okay, that's a breath of fresh air. But, and that's something that I've tried to do a lot more of just for myself recently, like in between jobs, like shoot a lot for myself and go out and just enjoy taking pictures again. So,
yeah. So when you're in those moments, are you like looking at different inspirations and recreating them, or are you just allowing yourself like a blank slate of like, I don't even know what's going to happen today, but I just want to try, like, you know what I mean? Like what are you trying to do in those instances?
Yeah. I mean, I just went out and shot, this is actually hilarious. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I just went and shot a minor league baseball game. We have a minor league team near us, and I own a CrossFit gym in my town. So we have a contract with them. So they come in and train at our gym during the season.
That's super cool.
And they've given me a media pass, and I've just never taken advantage of it over the years. So I finally went out to a night game a few weeks ago, and I took, 100 to 300 and 70 to 200 and all my gear. And I shot 95% of the game on my Fuji X100V. And just, and I was like, man, this is kind of just what I'm going to do. So I think I took like 3 pictures with my actual camera. But, it's really just going out and having no game plan and no set task list, and being able to kind of open your eye to what you want to shoot, and you can pull inspiration off of, Instagram or anything else. But I try not to do that so much, because I don't want everything. There's so much of it in the space already that's just copy and paste, right? Like there's so many people that see something that they like, and then they go try to do it their own and use it. And it's more about like, for me, it's, if you want to stay in love with the art of doing it, you have to find something that resonates with you, and you have to go out and take pictures that make you feel something. And then if somebody else feels something from it, then great. But if not, then at least you still get to go home and enjoy that feeling of love that you get from doing it, which for me is so important, especially when we spend most of our time shooting for other people. We start getting really, it gets repetitive. Shooting in CrossFit gets very repetitive. I'm be lying to you if I told you I wasn't sick of shooting a thruster or a fucking toes to bar. Like it gets very boring. Every artistic play on it is very played out, and it's very easy to just kind of get into a lull. And if you don't have some sort of reset that you can go out and enjoy photography and use it in some other realm and maybe learn something that you can come back and bring to that community and be the first one that then people want to go and copy and paste it, which, that's always fun to do too. We joke all the time. One of my best friends, Brandon Casey, BC Visions, he was like the starter of the hype reel. Like he was the originator of that whole movement. And we watch people for the last, 8 years try to copy what he does. And he still stays at the top of,
that everyone falls short. Yeah. It's not, it's not really a fair comparison.
Yeah. He stays at the top of the game, because because he created it, so if he's making any sort of innovation or change to it, it's already based off of something that he made and tried to perfect himself. So it's all just carbon copies. We used to joke, no offense to anybody that's listening to this that does it, but we just joke all the time, like, oh, look, another Temu BC, there they go, just the Temu version. And it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great way to especially it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to learn. I've been around people at the beginning when he was doing it and people had no idea how to do all the transitions in the video, that would screen record his reels, slow them down and be like, oh, and I'm like, God, man, this is crazy. But no, it's cool to see. It's cool to be around for, God, I haven't even been around that long, but it's cool to see the way that a lot of the space has shifted and continued to grow. A lot of the people that I started in the space, like I see a lot of the young photographers at the games, and I see a lot of young photographers in the space, like just starting out very similarly to how we did. And being able to see my kind of class of people be able to really make solid careers out of it and blossom into whole other realms of creative work it's very cool. It's a neat thing to watch, and it's beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And to hit on like the people that are copying and using it as inspiration, I find a lot of people, and this is just my opinion on it, it's just like sometimes people just don't know what their style is, so they're trying to they'll see something that's like cool and they're like, okay, I'm going to make that. But like, there's no like why behind it. Like to everything that you were talking about before of like, you went to the minor league baseball game just to try out and have a why. Like, I feel like when you're starting out, you're kind of all over the place and you're like, well, I got all this like cool gear and I want to create all this cool stuff. And now I have all this access, but like, I don't know what I'm really doing yet. I'm still kind of guilty of that sometimes too, but until you actually like find it, then that's when you roll,
Yeah. It's, being able to actually, and it's taken me as long as I've been doing this to try to set a task list or a very casual shot list for myself when I go places, and at the end of the day, it's more about telling a story in places than it is just taking cool pictures anymore. I want to be able to, because most of the population that's looking at your work is not other creators. It's people that want to feel something from what you're doing. So if you are only making work in order to impress other creative people, you're never going to do it. There's always going to be people that are subjective to one person's style over another. And if you're just looking for applause from people that you work with or other things like that, like you're going to live a very miserable career in this space. It's not great. So if you can create stuff and have an understanding that 99% of the people that are viewing your work don't do this, and if they can have some emotion or feeling when they're looking at your things, or if it just makes sense to them, they're going to enjoy it. And that's the stuff that gets you hired. Some people don't really, it's like over explaining stuff. It'd be like if Michelangelo was teaching a third grade art class, it's like you're trying to be like, well, this is why this is amazing. And they have no understanding. They don't know, but if you can make work that resonates with a large population, you'll end up getting a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, I see that all the time, especially with, I see it more where it's like in the games, it's like very easy to like, okay, like everyone is doing like certain styles, certain things because that's what's required at that level and et cetera. But I really like looking at, different other like local comps and things like that, where people are trying new stuff and kind of like, well, I'm going to try it out on here. If it works really well, then I'm just going to rock it. Or I'm going to be completely different than what I normally am. I really have appreciation for, that kind of stuff. Cause I feel like that's the perfect proving ground, to kind of get you there. Yeah.
Not that I'm anybody to judge anybody's stuff, but when I'm looking at people that I want to, hire, if I'm doing a photo team or something like that, I don't want to see people's CrossFit Games stuff. You're taking pictures of people that it's easy for somebody in our space to already have a feeling and emotion towards. And it might not be a great photo, but you're like, I like that person, so it must be a good photo. And, it's very easy to take good pictures of pretty people, and yes. I want to see pictures that you take at a local competition with normal everyday CrossFitters or in your own gym, that if you can do good work with normal people, you're going to do fantastic work with people that are even, better at the sport. It's like, it's very hard to shoot a bad wedding if you have a gorgeous venue and a gorgeous couple. If you have a gorgeous couple and a gorgeous venue, you can't f that up. Right. Like, you just press the button and it's already done. But if you are in a backyard tent wedding that's catered by Chick-fil-A, and you got Betty Lou and Ethel getting married, like, you gotta do some work. And I want to see if somebody can make something creative out of that, and because it's possible. It's
those are some
possible.
Names. What do you say?
Yeah, I used very old senior citizen females.
Way to not so you don't offend anybody that might be watching us.
Yeah, I don't think we know any Betty Lou and Ethels, but if we do, I'm sorry. Also,
Chick-fil-A, make sure that wedding isn't on Sunday. So that'd be my other point.
Exactly. For sure.
That was a bummer, by the way. Side note, I was at the airport coming out of San Jose and dying, so hungry, right? I'm like, oh, there's a Chick-fil-A, and not real, because you know how it is. You forget what day it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, it's Sunday.
How miserable is that too? It's in the airport, and it's still closed. It's like, gosh.
I will admit that I am a little bit of
emotions.
Yeah, well, I will admit I am a little bit of a travel snob, so I didn't have, there wasn't any lounges there.
Right.
First world problems.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I am a travel snob.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we spend enough time on the road. You got to treat yourself a little bit, right? It's just a little.
If you're in the air that much, you need to do it well. That's how I view it. So, for sure.
No, that's and a good example of that would be I think too. Going back to that visual aspect is I see a lot of people with the nicest gear imaginable, myself included. I have FX3s. I have an FX6 that is mostly a prop right now because I'm still learning how to use it.
Perfect.
Yeah, most expensive prop in this room.
Yes.
But you'll have the nicest gear, but then you don't know how to utilize it properly. And then you have someone that's shooting off of not necessarily a beginner camera, but an intermediate or a lower level camera.
Yeah.
That's just making these amazing visuals. And it's well, that person just knows all the fundamentals, knows how to use to maximize their, equipment that they have. They're not just going out and getting the nicest and greatest, because anyone can I could turn, autofocus on an FX3, stand at the finish line to a lunge event, and I'm going to get great visuals. It happened,
right.
The Fibonacci final on Sunday,
right.
I got great visuals. There was nothing I did cinematically or anything creative that made those things look good. It's just,
right.
It was easy to get that good shot. But you look at people that have the lower level equipment that just make really good visuals. Those are the type of people, same thing, that I would definitely want to hire as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody becomes a little bit of a gear snob in the space at some point in time. I was guilty of it at the beginning, and I would buy every new thing. But I mean, I'm shooting on which now is a 3 model ago Canon, and it just does what I need it to do. So I'm not in a hurry to get a new one. It's until something goes wrong with it, I'm cool with it. I'm comfortable with it. It does the job that I need it to do. It hasn't costed me any shots. Hasn't made me not get paid. So it's right. I'm very comfortable with where that's at, for sure.
It's kind of funny too. When you first start, what you're saying there, you get all this gear. So you're oh, now I can do this. Now I can do that. And then you get a little bit more seasoned. You're I don't need all this stuff. Like you're actively trying to
get rid of it.
Yeah.
You start getting rid of it.
This was the first year, at least at the games, and I'm taking this forward because it was a great trial for me to like see if I could do it. One camera. I have one camera body. I have maybe two lenses. I had a 70-200. Actually, I didn't even pull out my 24-70 at all. It didn't come out once, mostly because we were a little bit further away than normal. So I was in the pit at the very last heat on the last day, but that was about it. But the 70-200, I was rocking that the whole time, and it forced you to get creative, right? Because it's like, I only have this lens. I can get a little bit closer, but like, so incorporating what I was doing was like just incorporating like the crowd and trying to shoot through. This is very difficult too, because people are very expressive with their athletes. They're very passionate about. But like try to like shoot like through them. If there was like two people, try to like shoot through those two people and like maybe get like a little bit of a hand raise, like kind of. So I can't wait to edit that footage. But that's kind of like my point, is just like do more with less is almost better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's why I like the Fuji for photos so much. Like it just forces me to have one fixed lens, and I just have to go get creative, and it makes you think, it makes you work, and it makes you try to do something. I just I was at Xenom like a month ago, and
how was that? Because I haven't talked to anybody about that. So it was
a really neat event. Really neat event. I was shooting for Proven, and I shot the whole weekend on a 24 prime. Just because I was like, there were like, we didn't have any real like huge deliverables. So it wasn't like this very pressurized thing, and we had floor access. So that was cool. But like, I was just like, I'm cool. This is a very light setup. I took my battery grip off. I was like, I'm just bopping around 24 prime and in a camera body, and shot the whole weekend. And it was cool. It forces you to get creative. That event was fun though. It's cool. It's like a mix between CrossFit and High Rocks, I guess. Yeah,
that's how I heard it described. Is like it's like that like middle ground of those two things like combined together. And I mean, if you had floor access, that's great too. What out of that weekend, was there anything that you saw like creatively? Like what was the media experience overall?
The media experience was great. It was the first event ever, so I'm sure it'll end up getting heightened up and different things will be great. But I mean, it was awesome. Sean, who runs the media team for the internal people, like he's fantastic, and everybody was just great. I mean, it was if you needed a shot and you couldn't get it, you just ask, and they were very accommodating. But the event as a whole was really neat. It's cool to take 10 CrossFit style events and have them be the same every time. So at least people know what they're training for to do. So, I mean, it's something a little different, but it was very cool. And then creatively, obviously same thing, like, what you're getting into, so you can plan if you're going to the next event. I want to do this differently. It's always going to be the same setup with the same things. So it's easy to kind of get an understanding of what you would do differently.
Yeah, and I've seen you've done High Rocks things. I've done a few High Rocks things. It's kind of like that same type of vibe. What I really like about High Rocks too is the fact that like this is like such a weird thing, but like all of like the branding and the ads or the signage, everything's the same color and it kind of just blends in. So it's not distracting. I don't know. Like I feel like that's such a good idea,
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I don't know if the brands like it, but I mean, it's
true.
But for imagery and video, like it looks a lot better. So that's for sure. High Rocks is fun to shoot. It's cool. It's just a nice way to connect with regular people. And thankfully the High Rocks photos that the people get from the competition suck most of the time, so it allows everybody to get some work if they need it. But it's neat to be able to go to something like that and see how all inclusive it is, and how everybody at every level is doing the same thing, and they're able to do it on such a mass platform. That's what's kind of appealing to me about High Rocks. A lot of people in my gym do it all the time and compete all the time in it, and it's neat to see. But it's just something that I think has kind of re-sparked people's competitiveness over the years, which I think a lot of people needed.
Yeah, I mean, the barrier to entry, right, is like anyone can participate. I think that's super cool. You know, there's no like qualification process. You just kind of sign up, and then you should probably do some cardio beforehand. I learned that.
Should probably run a little bit.
Probably should run a little bit. Yeah. My partner Brock, like at one point, I was basically like holding on to his shirt, and he was just kind of like pulling me along,
just dragging you.
Just dragging me. Yeah. You know, I did pick him up though. In I forget, there's a few stations that I did really well at that I picked him up, but like for the most part, he was carrying me. He's not going to listen to this, but if he would ever listen to this, he would love this moment in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you show up to High Rocks then, and you mentioned, you know, every single High Rocks is the same. Mm-hmm. How do you then, is there certain things that you plan in beforehand, or like walk me through how you would be creatively different each time? Because I mean, I see you pop up at New York. I don't, did you put is there another one you went to?
Yeah, I've been to a bunch. I've shot a lot of them for Noble, but
okay.
So they outfit all of the people at my gym with clothing and shoes, and then I will shoot them and create content with either the new shoes or the clothing for the event. So
has Tom Brady popped in there yet?
He has not done High Rocks. No, but no, he has not. He has not done High Rocks. I have met him twice though, which is cool.
Hey, but, there you go.
Yeah, it's a little bit like incestual because I do some work with Fanatics as well, and my business partner at the gym is the lead helicopter pilot for Fanatics, so he flies him probably like once or twice a week. But it's been cool. But High Rocks is just like, I don't know what I would do if I was just shooting like photo packages or something like that for people all the time. Right. I haven't really been in that spot to do that. It's been more so branding. So like I've had to shoot a lot of shoes and a lot of people doing stuff and being able to tell a story about a shoe. Like, hey, this shoe is supposed to be more stable, so I'm going to try to shoot it on wall balls and lunges, or, you know, that kind of stuff is kind of more so where a lot of my work has had to be with that. But I think it would be difficult. It would be a challenge to get creative consistently unless you just wanted to try to tell a different story every time. You know, a lot of crowd interactions are really good at High Rocks. People are very close and screaming, and I've seen some wild things from the fans yelling, but it's there's a lot to be told. There's a lot of emotion, especially in doubles, because people are interacting differently the whole time. So there's a lot of opportunity to tell a story, but it's cool to see that sport grow. It's cool to see a lot of people get an opportunity to shoot and start their own photography journey within it as well. Very similarly to CrossFit, you know, we were talking about barrier to entry in CrossFit is relatively low for creativeness too. So like,
right.
You know, and while I'm extremely grateful for that because it was able to give me a nice jump start, sometimes it can be frustrating because you see people that, like, I think I saw somebody at the games this time and they posted something about how they bought a camera 4 months ago. And I'm like, that's kind of impressive. Like, you know, you bought a camera 4 months ago and you are shooting the pinnacle of the events for this sport. So it's neat to see. It's been different. I have different opinions on it because it's, you know, we've done some stuff with the NFL over the years, especially when Noble was doing the combine. Mm-hmm. And seeing how that is handled, you're like, whoa, this is a lot different than what goes on in the CrossFit space. But, you know, everything has its place, and it's great. I'm very fortunate for the low barrier in CrossFit because it allowed me to obviously get to where I am, and it allows a lot of other people to get to where they are. Not to go on a tangent, but I think it's where a lot of I see people on Instagram, people I've known for years go, you know, it's a hot topic all the time in the space about people, you know, charging less and somebody needs to charge this and charge this. And it's like, you're talking about doing that in a space that has all of those different people in it. So it's never going to be that way. You know, it would be different if, you know, everybody needed 10 years of experience and needed to have this on their resume in order to shoot this. And then if I was going to come and undercut you, then yeah, you can have a problem with that, you know, but somebody just starting out who's owned a camera for 4 months, you know, can't charge the same as somebody who's been doing it for 10 plus years and has a crazy portfolio. Is the work going to be different? Yeah. Does the brand need something like that? I don't know, but it's very hard in the space to figure out what the rules should be. And I don't really think there are any. I think it's, you need to do what's best for you in order to grow and try not to screw anybody over in the process. I think it's equally wrong to overprice yourself with very low education than it is to underprice yourself because you don't have the confidence to do it, and to anybody that is at the level where they're in a position to complain about it, like, you probably need to look at the brands you're working for. If you're working for a company that's going to hire somebody that's got 4 months of experience, then you probably need to, if you're been in the game long enough, probably need to find a better client, So, I go different ways on that feeling, but for me, it's like, yeah, it's great to have a community of people in this space, but it's also important to do what's best for you when it comes to learning. And only you know where you're at. Only you know what you feel comfortable charging somebody. Only you know those things. And there's nothing wrong with just, trying to kickstart your career differently than how somebody else did. There's nothing wrong with that. So
there's so much there. Like,
yeah,
this is the episode right here. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
No, like, seriously. Wow. Couple things that at least come to my mind. So yes, I agree. Like, you should be transparent, and maybe you don't have to be transparent to the point of like, hey, I just got a camera 4 months ago.
Right.
Like, you could be transparent enough to be like, here's my portfolio. Like, here's what mine looks like, just so you know what you're getting into, like, and if you're transparent with your abilities, your skill level, what you can bring to the table, then the expectations on the other end will and should match that, which means if you are a beginner, you should expect to get paid less. You should probably ask for less, because what your goal is to get more experience, build your portfolio, etc. So that individual needs to be honest with themselves, because if you're going to go out there and you're going to try to sell yourself to an Adidas or a Noble, right?
Yeah.
And you're a beginner and they say yes, and then you show up and absolutely crap the bed, then you just ruined yourself, not necessarily just with them, but everyone else that, their best friend was the CMO at Noble, but now he got hired for Adidas, and like all those relationships, you just messed yourself up. So that's what I would say with that. I completely agree with you on that. And then I love what you said about the experienced individuals. So instead of blaming, woe is me, complaining, all that kind of stuff about how you're not making enough, whatever it is, it's like, maybe you're not pitching the right companies. Maybe you need to talk to different companies. Maybe you need to evaluate where you are in the space. And if this space isn't providing you what you need for your family, for your loved ones, whatever your goals are, et cetera, maybe you need to do other stuff. Maybe you need to go into high rocks. Maybe you need to try to build a brand up, from the ground, whatever it is. Yeah. But like, that's a really important statement, because oftentimes, and I hear it all the time, and I'm guilty of it myself, like, no doubt, where it's like, oh, man, I just got another gig, but like, this gig's like, I'm not that motivated to do, or whatever it is. Or, I should charge more. It's like, well, then that's on you. That's not on the company that hired you. That's like, you need to manage expectations on your end. And yeah, it's a difficult conversation. It's a hard conversation. It's an uncomfortable conversation. Money's always, certain people have an easier time than others, but you need to have the conversation, because here's the thing. If you're an experienced person and you know what you're doing, and you go to a bigger brand, you're like, hey, brand X, like, here's what I'm going to provide you this weekend. Here's my portfolio. I'm confident I can deliver at this price. And then you stick to your guns. They say yes, then you're do a better job for them. Like, I hate to say it, like, it's just a factual thing. Like, you're going to be more motivated, et cetera, because you feel, whereas if they underpay you, then you're like, well, they'll get it, a couple days later than, whatever. I'm not saying that I do that. I don't, but there are people out there that will,
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to spend less time on it. You're not going to care about it as much. I mean, that's just how it goes. But yeah, back to your point with that, it's like it's the mess that's created within the space of it being such low barrier to entry, right? Like, you have people that are very seasoned, very talented in the space, And then you also have people that are just starting out and everybody's on the same field. And you can't, and the same thing brand wise, you know, it's so different than other sports, right? Like if you look at any NFL or MLB, like all of the sponsors are all large name things. Like everybody's got a huge budget for anything if they are a sponsor at this, right? But here you have companies like, you know, like Tier, Adidas, Noble, all within this space. And then you also have like Bibbidi Boppity Thumb Tape, you know, and it's like, all right, there's going to be somebody there shooting for Bibbidi Boppity Thumb Tape, and you can't expect them to be charging the same day rate that somebody like Tier or Adidas is going to pay you, you know, and just because, you know, you think it's going to water down the industry or whatever it is. It's like, no, you know, go out there and set the standard for yourself. If you want to create job security for yourself, work your ass off. Be good at your job. That's the best job security there is. Do a job that you don't think anybody else can do and work your ass off to get to that position. And that's the job security. That's it. Not because you feel threatened that Susie is going to charge $500 a day less than you, you know, and it's frustrating to me to hear it sometimes because it's a cop out. I understand it. Right. And the premise of it is great, but the waters are muddied when it comes to what it all looks like within this space. You get out of the space, it's a very easy conversation. You get into professional sports, it's a very easy conversation. Everybody's got a base rate. It's a thing. Everybody's good. Right. But here you have such a huge fluctuation of price points with different companies and different talents and different people. And I can tell you pretty confidently, Adidas or Tier or Noble, none of those larger companies are going to hire somebody that's been shooting for 4 months. They're just not. It's not going to happen. You know, it's just not going to take place. So you're not really going to be in that position. And you know, you're in the ocean comparing, you know, minnows to sharks when it comes to different things. And it's like, well, before you can go eat a shark, you have to eat some minnows. So like, let the people go eat some minnows, you know, let them understand what it's like to make $1 off of work, you know, let them feel some motivation and feel some desire from it. And if you're that insecure that you feel butthurt that they took some sort of money away from you, then that's on you. You got to figure that out for yourself. You know, there's enough work out there that there's millions of photographers in the world and everybody seems to be getting work. So if you're that bothered by somebody in the same realm doing that to you, then that's more of a reflection of you than it is anything else. Let somebody learn what it's like in order to get some money. And once they get some confidence and some more self-worth, they're going to charge more. And then you can put the pressure on them. You know, nothing's better than having somebody say, "Hey man, you know, you should charge more." It's a great compliment. That means that your work is noticed. That means your work looks good and it means that you are valued. And that's a very good thing to hear. Not somebody saying, "Hey, I charge a lot more than you. You should charge more because it makes me look bad." That's not the move, man. So it's that's how I felt about it for a long time. I tried to stay quiet on it, and I told myself if we were going to get on safe space, I said I was going to rant. I said I was going to rant about it today, so I figured I might as well. But
you woke up as you were brushing your teeth this morning, like, oh, finally, I get a platform.
Yes, Enrique said I have to give him validation all the time. So
yes,
he told me to bring that up. Yeah.
It's a good callback.
Yeah, he would always. He would always come to me and he'd be like, "Do you like this?" I'd be like, "Yes, Enrique, this is your validation for the day. It's a good photo, buddy. You did good."
He did.
So,
yeah, that's funny. You also use Susie. Just want to call you out on that. That is a more common name.
Yeah, I don't know any Susies though. A couple Susans.
Suzanne. I know Suzanne's as well.
All of them. Yeah, just Susies.
But yeah, wow. That's an incredible outlook. 'Cause I truthfully never really considered the fact that like you have different tiers, play on words there.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Of sponsors, in the fact of like more financial backing, whatever it is. So like, and let me be clear, like neither you or myself are looking down upon anyone else that has like the smaller brands or anything like that. That's not what we're talking about. But as a seasoned like videographer, photographer, if you're going to a smaller brand and being like, "Hey, here's my day rate," and it's something you would charge, a bigger player in the space, then yeah, you're being very smart.
And you have people that think that like, oh, well, why would you charge one something and not the other? And it has nothing to do with what money you can get out of them. It has to do that the risk reward is more for a larger company. There's so many more eyes on that larger company.
Yes.
That work is going to live on a platform and be viewed by so many more people. It's going to have such more of a brand impact than a smaller company. So there's a lot more pressure on yourself. It's kind of like, okay, you charge a lot more for a wedding because you get one shot at it, like there's no redos and it's going to live somewhere for a long time and tell a story. So there's a lot more pressure, and with pressure comes more money. So that's where the higher brand payment thing comes into play. And
another great insight. Yes.
Yeah. You can't take that and apply it to something else. I can't be like, hey, here's my day rate. And if somebody wants to hire me to shoot a local CrossFit competition, I got to be like, well, I'm gonna need this money. It's like, no, you price it with where you're at, and if you want to build a network, if you don't, you want to put yourself in a box, then you can do that too. But it's a topic that I just get so sick of hearing about it, because I don't know if people do it just to get clicks or have some sort of reward with people liking or commenting on their posts, but it's something that I don't want new people coming into this and thinking that they have to outprice themselves. Because I see that already. I see people in High Rocks going that have just started doing things with a camera and like taking recommendations from a friend and charging these astronomical prices. And I'm like, brother, you're gonna start to hate this real quick, because I don't want new people to get scared away from becoming creative because they think in the early days that it's all about the dollar, because it's not. It's okay to chase money. There's great things with chasing money, but in order to chase money, you got to have self-confidence. You have to be good at your job. You have to have a worthwhile portfolio, and there's a price on portfolio. Like, you can't just go out and make a portfolio. You need to have it with something that is actually going to resonate with another company. And if you have to charge less because there's a trade-off, that's another thing people don't get. Yes, it's a trade-off. It's, okay, I'm allowed to now use this in my portfolio to get more work, to charge more money. Then that is a level of payment within itself. And this is not me addressing the whole, like, hey, we'll give you exposure trade-off thing. Like, I don't agree with that. That's some stupid shit. Like, if a brand is like, hey man, we'll tag you and put you on your story, I'm like, yeah, dude, that's a no from me, dog. But I do think that, if somebody needs to charge less when they're starting out, God, you got to let them. And also, it's really just none of your business. That's the best part. Like, I don't go around going, hey man, what do you charge them? What are you doing? It's, you create that yourself. If you want to be able to, if you find somebody in the space that you think you are on equal playing field and you feel comfortable enough to have that conversation with them, and you want to try to line up on values, goals, and finances, then yeah, do that, but you don't just go around asking somebody like, hey, what do you charge for a day rate? What do you charge for a day rate? And
be a very bold start to a conversation. It's like showing up to a first day. It's like, hey, when do you want to get married? It's like, whoa,
yeah, I think I'm just going to have a blank table in the next media room with one of those signs that just says, what is your day rate?
There you go.
We're just going to sit there and hold it. So no, it's, I do think that it's something that gets played out when people talk about it. And, there's another topic that ties into it where people talk about brands not tagging them in their work. And
okay, I'm interested to hear this one. Go ahead.
Any large brand I've ever worked for has never tagged me, nor should they. I don't think anybody's ever seen a Nike ad or a Adidas ad or anything and been like, oh, let me scroll down here and let me see where they give the photo credit. They don't do it. They own your shit. Like, that is part of the job. You are shooting for them. They own it. They don't care. They're not there to help promote you. They are paying you very well for the job that you did. And then they own it now and they can do whatever they want. And, that is really where I see things all the time. And it's, now athletes, different story. Like, if you are just kind of helping somebody out, giving somebody some images or something like that, and you want to have them tag you, by all means do that. But you can't live in this world of thinking that is acceptable with large brands. It's just not. I mean, no brand does it. And let me tell you right now, no brand's going to do it. Nobody's going to be like, oh, we forgot to tag B. Kessler photo in this Nike ad. Never going to see it. Not going to happen. And if you have expectations of that, then, you have some learning to do, which
don't watermark a Nike ad for yourself and send it to Nike.
Yeah. It's just the most obnoxious thing. It's just my watermark over all my photos. Woo! Like, hey, tag me and I'll remove it.
I look at it where someone that I really look up to in the space that has a wealth of knowledge told me, and it made perfect sense with me, and I couldn't agree more, is like, if someone is paying you your full day rate, and, taking care of you, flying you out there, all those things like attached to it, like to exactly what you're saying, it is their content. Like you are hired to create for them.
Yes.
And they get access to it. Right. And they're the first ones to post it. What I've found is, sometimes if you work with certain brands or training groups or athletes, et cetera, whatever it is, they'll let you, like, after the fact, maybe. And I think CrossFit does this for all the CrossFit media people that, work the games. Like, you can post it like later down the road, right? Like, oh, here's a, quick thing, whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Like, that's, if you are getting paid what you're worth, and, or, you signed a contract or like that kind of, like, that should be the full expectation. 100%. And exactly what you're saying, if you're just providing images, if you're at, like, I don't know, like a semifinals event, or you're at a High Rocks event, and you're just like, you're shooting from the stands, or maybe you have a press pass and you're just, a nice person, or you wanted to test something out, right? You're trying new things out and you're like, I'll send this over to whoever. And then, you collaborate with them or you tag with them or whatever. Sure. Cool. Like, do that, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's as simple as that. Working with large brands, because I was guilty of it. Like, early on, you don't know what you don't know, and then
correct.
You and I sitting here ranting about this isn't like belittling anybody. It's more. I want it to be educational. Like, if somebody listens, I want it to be like, hey, these are people that have worked in this space and done this with these people. So, like, it's a learning curve, and then understanding why, like having that like 3-year-old version of you where you ask why, like, and then after you understand why, it becomes pretty understandable, and the same thing, we used to have like a 90-day policy with a lot of companies I work. You go do a job, you couldn't post it until 90 days after. And then even then you could only use the things that they've used. Mm-hmm. So, if they've used it already and they were able to, maximize the benefit of it as being the first person to use it because they own it, and then we'd have to get approval to put it in our portfolio.
Yes.
So, and that, as it should be, that's the professional realm of it. I think something that would be very cool to do down the road is to start like a business 101 seminar for people starting off in this space. I think it would be something that would help educate early creatives who it might be their first venture into entrepreneurship, to be able to gain some knowledge on a path toward getting better and being able to provide a service that is worth staying with, because I think a lot of people come in and there's so many different opinions and so many different noises in each ear everywhere you go that there's a lot of times there's just a business sense to a lot of it that once you understand that, you kind of go, oh, okay. Like, at the end of the day, every single person in that media room, every company at the games, every company at every event, they're all a business. And they're all operating as such, and you can't take your business and make it super emotional and expect this other business to match your emotion. You have to be able to understand that at the end of the day, it's a business and people want it to be that. And if you can learn to treat yourself that way, you'll not only set yourself up to get a lot less angry and sad at certain situations, but you'll also set yourself up for a lot of progress. So,
yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, I could see it playing out like maybe before like athlete check-in or something like that. It's like, hey, creative meetup and stuff like that. I'm having a really hard time. And forgive me for those who have been listening to this podcast. But I always bring it up where it's like case in point, the games, like it would have been dope. Like there were so many good creative people there to just like have like a podcast like this, sit down with them and talk to them. But
dude, for sure,
we both know how crazy that weekend is. I mean, it is the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So like figuring out a good creative way where we can all connect that way is super important, because I think a lot of the times too, like we're kind of on isolation island a little bit, right? Where if you don't have friends that do what you do, that you can contact and, you know, network with, et cetera, like just have conversations with about this, you know, your 3 to 5 year journey is now at 7 to 10, and you're going to get, you know, burned out, or you're going to give up, or you're going to try something new. Cause you're just like, I can't, you know what, I don't have the support system. So that's why it's so important to be able to, you know, DM people that you look up to, that inspire you, whatever it is, and be like, just try to have a conversation, you know?
Yeah, I agree. If there's anything that I would ever say to somebody in this space starting out, it would be build relationships. I mean, building relationships is the catalyst to everything that will ever transpire for you. You know, you can be a mediocre photographer, but be really good at building relationships, and you will go very far. You will put yourself around people that you will eventually learn, and you will be welcomed in, and you will have some sort of benefit from being around, and you will get very far. And there's going to come a time in your year, everybody's got their down times and their up times. And if you can build a big enough network, you're always going to be able to have somebody who's on the high help you out during your low. And that is my biggest piece of advice to anybody starting out. It's build relationships, true, valuable relationships, not transaction oriented relationships, or go out and say hi to somebody because you want to use them for their work. But build relationships where people want to be around you. They enjoy you. They know that you do quality work, and they want to recommend you to do other things. That is the most important thing. We probably don't have enough time on this, but I literally got my whole career in this based off of that. I, snuck into Granite Games back in the day and got caught and had a conversation with somebody who ran the media. Yeah. Got caught, got a conversation with the lady who ran the media, ended up, cause I did some work with Nat Geo beforehand and hadn't really done anything in the CrossFit space. And, she was yelling at me, and then went back and researched me, found out I did all this wildlife work, came back the next day, let me stay on the field, gave all my images to the event, invited me to come to the next event. We stayed in touch. She was an amazing person. Next year she quit. She left Loud and Live. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. That was like my entry to all of these things. 2 weeks later, post that she became the creative director of Noble. I got a call, and here we are. And it's like those, create relationships that are meaningful, be an enjoyable person, be raw, be blunt. I mean, I'm the walking poster boy for that, but it's, but have some sort of personality and have some sort of benefit to being around people. It's going to get you very far in the space if you can just create friends. Yeah. All the people that I looked up to when I started in all of this, they're all my best friends, and we just work together. So it's cool. Carlos and I, we started right around the same time, but he had advanced a lot further than me with connections that he had beforehand. And then we kind of evened out, and now it's just, him and I we talk all the time, every single day. So we're having a conversation about fucking something, and, being able to learn from each other in different realms is a very cool thing. I just recently in the last couple of years got into building like the photo package team for some events, and he's been doing it for a long time. And I've gone down and worked with him at some, and been able to learn a lot from him. And he's always been there to answer questions and help me with different things on that end. And now I'm able to do that for other people. And, it's a cool thing. Gatekeeping anything in this space doesn't get you anywhere. Give it away. Give the shit away to everybody. And treat people well. Give work away. If you don't want to do something, call somebody you trust and have them do it. You're going to get a lot further with other people around you than you are by yourself. And thinking that you're never going to get hired again if somebody else works for you, that's something you got to go to therapy for.
If you want even greater insight, me and Bruce talked about that. Bruce Williams.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and him talked about that at length. So
Yeah. Oh, cool.
that was
Cool.
so like what we talked about with the whole price sensitivity and that kind of thing is the same exact thing that me and Bruce did for like 25 minutes or so about gatekeeping. So
very cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, it doesn't get you anywhere, man. It doesn't. You know, make friends, give it away, have people that you trust come around and give them work, and you know, it comes back to you, man. It all does. Yeah. It's cool. You know, I've met some amazing people. I have like my lifelong friends now from this space. I've been so fortunate to be around, and you know, everybody has that creative struggle mentally in their head, and you get around like-minded people. You get people that have the same struggles as you do, and it's easy to connect and bond with them. And, you know, certain people, you know, treat it differently. I have friends that just go to a convenience store and buy 45 pounds of snacks and will eat it in 10 minutes. And I have other ones that'll go cry in the corner. But, you know, it's everybody has the same everybody's got the same issues and the same days where some days you get done and you're just like, I don't ever want to do this again. And then something happens in a week and you're like, can't wait to do this again. You know?
I will give you perfect insight for that, like a perfect story for that. So first couple of days at the games, first of all, I arrived there Friday. So I got in there like Thursday, like late. So Friday was my first day. For whatever reason, like my first day at anything, any competition, I always look back and I'm like, man, I just didn't have it today. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a mental thing. But then I settle in, right?
Okay.
I look at my stuff on Saturday. I'm like, I had a crisis Sunday, like right before we started like our day. And I was sitting there and I was talking to like a few other, you know, people in the media and stuff like that. And we were just kind of like going through, I was like, man, I don't feel like my stuff's very good this weekend. Like, I feel like I didn't have it, or like, just isn't my best work. I just feel like I'm like in a weird funk and that kind of thing. Yeah. And like, I was having a conversation with Dylan, and Dylan was like, dude, just go out there and make what you want to make, you know, just like, take out the whole, like, be the first person to post, all that kind of stuff, be the, you know, get the shot, just go out there and just like create that you want to create, just whatever. Right. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I reframe myself. I tell myself, cause I can say this now. We had seats that we were technically supposed to stay in.
Okay. Yeah. Right? We never do. Never do.
No one was necessarily following that rule, mostly because like the stands weren't completely filled. So you can kind of move around or whatever. And you're obviously really respectful. And like, if someone tells you to move, you move, and you kind of get your shot and you get out. So all that disclaimer. But the first event came around. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get in there. Right. So I immediately just start ripping just like heaters, like the first, and it's like, it's not even that great of a workout. It's literally that one that was like really long. It was like a row and a ski, right? It's not a sexy workout. But I'm like, I'm going to make this workout sexy. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I'm just going to like shoot some really cool shots. I don't even care if I don't post anything from this event. I could care less, but I want to get really cool visuals. So like I got like the classic, you know, down the line is they're rowing, right? Okay. I moved around and just got every different angle. I focused on individual people, whatever. I bring that back and I sit down. I put my headphones on, noise canceling, just in the zone, just nothing. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to make something cool. I could give a less if anybody shares this. I don't care if anyone likes this. I'm making this for me.
Right.
And like, I made it and I finished it and I was like, hell yes. Like, let's get some momentum. Yeah. So granted, there was a few shots that drove me insane that I didn't nail perfectly. But like, there was like, you know, like probably like 2 or 3 shots and I'm like, hell yeah. Like I got it. And then the day progresses on and there's like different workouts and things like that. And then I got my one moment where it was like Ariel, whenever she was on, I forget what workout they did, like weird parallel thing and then whatever.
Oh yeah.
The very last rep, she pulls out of it and she looks directly over to where I'm at and smiles. And I'm like, I got it. It was perfect.
Good.
Ran back, boom, post, boom. And like that momentum of those two back to back. And then the last event, just being there for the Feminaci final on the floor, like shooting that, lunging directly at me. Like Sunday turned my entire weekend around. If I didn't have Sunday, I would have left there being like, I suck. Why am I doing this? Yeah. All of those thoughts. So it's crazy how that one day can just turn around everything for you. You know?
Yeah, man. I mean, our job's very similar to golf, right? Like you go out and and
Yeah.
9,000 terrible shots, and then you make one putt that's miraculous, and you're like,
I've
well,
never
I'll
heard
be
that.
back-
That's a good analogy. I've never heard
I'll
that
be
one.
back tomorrow. You know, like I'll be back tomorrow. So you know, it's something that can be very emotionally trying at times, because I feel like so much of what we do is a representation of ourselves, right? Like if we are working for ourselves and we're putting what we consider to be art, you know, there's a very vulnerable aspect to putting your work out there, because you are putting it out to people and saying, hey, I think this is good enough. And if somebody else is looking at it, there's the constant fear of going, well, do they think it's good enough? And if you are always in that headspace of going, I don't know if I'm even creating work that I like anymore, because I'm more worried about putting something out that this person thinks is good. And that's some place that is very difficult to be in. And it's also very hard to recognize. It's hard to pull yourself out of too. But if you can just get into the realm and the mindset of going, I think this is good enough. This is a good representation of me. And I don't care if anybody likes it. You know, I don't give a shit. I just want it to be out there and be something that I know I'm proud of making. That's something that's cool. And it doesn't mean that it's always good. Something can resonate with you and be something that you think is beautiful for a whole bunch of different reasons than what the rest of the world sees. But it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be posted. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't be out there, because, you know, your portfolio or your Instagram page or whatever, it should be a representation of you. It should be something that goes, hey, this is me. You know, it's a bio of yourself through images. You know, it's something that when people look at it, they're like, wow, this guy is great at storytelling. He has a dramatic style and likes to use light in different ways. Like, and they should be able to tell that about you from what you're putting out. And if you are constantly trying to please somebody else with what you're doing, you know, it's never going to work. Now, it doesn't mean don't take feedback. That's right. That's my only
important distinction.
That doesn't mean that. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be scared to post something, even if you know it's not great, you know, especially when you're starting out. Put it out there and be humble enough to accept feedback. You put it out for different reasons. You know, you put it out with going, hey, this is where I'm at right now. And I want to be better. So please give me feedback on this. You know, you don't have to say that, but be open if somebody critiques it. Too often, you know, I think everybody in the space is too kumbaya, and I'm not a huge fan of that. That's why, like, you hear me joke about the Enrique thing, where I'm like, yes, Enrique, I give you your validation. Yes, you got it. But I do see that. And I think that that's the easiest way to, make friends, but at the same time, keep somebody very complacent with never having any growth. I've seen people that I started with in this space who, in my opinion, and might not mean much, haven't grown at all. They're the same creative level that they were when they started. And I think it's because either it's one of two things. People keep telling them that what they're doing is great, or two, they have such a large ego that they think that they're doing better. And both of those things will keep you from growing. You have to be willing to accept feedback. You have to be willing to have somebody tell you that your work can be improved. Everything is very subjective, but there are things that are good and bad. You know, that's just how it is. There are things that make photos good. There are things that make photos bad. And the subjective line is somewhere in between there. But you have to be willing to accept feedback until you get to a point where maybe you can give feedback to somebody. And that's, you know, that just comes with time. It's something that, gosh, the longer I stay in this space, the more grateful I am that I've owned a business for so long. Cause I've owned a CrossFit gym since I was 22. And that was kind of what I did until getting into photography. And when I bought a camera, I did it as a way to get away from CrossFit, believe it or not. And, suckered me back in. But, it was, you know, here we are. But yeah, it's, between owning a business and then being sober as long as I have been, all of the principles I've learned from all of that are things that I've tried to apply to the creative realm. And I think that it's built a base that I can be proud of where I'm at. And that's something that I try to take solace in some days and just kind of sit in and go, I'm very grateful for this. So, man,
I was gonna wrap this up because you've been very gracious with your time.
Oh yeah, no, man.
And I really
good.
appreciate it. I know we've been back and forth about scheduling and such, so I'm glad we got this on the books. It was great conversation.
For sure.
I really hope people listen to the entire portion of this because you dropped so many knowledge bombs like subtly, and it was great. So,
well, no, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for making this work, and we'll have to do it again at some point.
we have to because we have to talk about Magic City. We didn't even talk about it. So.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. That's a whole nother kind of
Good. That's next one.
good, man. Yeah, we'll do it, bud. Well, no, I appreciate you, man. Thank you again.
For sure.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Capture the Reps podcast. If you're a fitness creative and you found this episode helpful, please share this with a fellow creative and keep creating, keep learning, and keep capturing those reps. We'll see you next time.